Okay, welcome again to my channel. Today's topic is going to be about the Church of Scientology protesting other things, such as psychiatry, IRS, uh, lawsuits going on, different things like that. Cult Awareness Network. So this is, I'll do my disclaimer first. This is just a general overview of the history of their protests. It's not complete. It's probably not, it's US centric because that's where I'm from. Um, so I'm going to be missing some things, maybe some important things that I don't know about or forgot or whatever. But this is just so overview, just an attempt to show the basic history of their protesting. Okay. L. Ron Hubbard wrote in a piece called Protest PR, meaning public relations. Outright protest PR based on facts is a legitimate method of attempting to right wrongs. It has to be kept overt. It has to be true. Protest PR can include demonstrations, hard news stories, and any PR mechanism. And then this goes on for a whole page of off-topic kind of things, I think. But anyway, then he gets back slightly to the subject and says, so protest PR has its place. It is a fine art. It is the subject of fantastic skill and tech. So there you go from the horse's mouth that protesting is okay, according to L. Ron Hubbard. Also, you'll see that they must think it's okay because they do it a lot um, through the history. And it's funny because when you protest, sometimes the Church of Scientology, they'll go, "Oh my God, someone's protesting a religion? How low can you go?" Like that. And it's like protesting is the worst thing in the world. Blah blah blah. No, it isn't. Okay, so the first, I'll go chronologically through here mostly. First protest I know about was in 1969. It was an anti-psychiatry protest in Washington, D.C. And here's a little blurb about that. L. Ron Hubbard was anti-psychiatry to the point of demonizing them, almost literally, that saying that psychiatrists are like the worst thing that ever happened to humanity. So you'll get a lot of protests against psychiatry, anti-psychiatric drugs, things like that. Second protest was in 1976, and I cannot find the photo I had of this. There was a newspaper article showing two people protesting here, but I can't find that. But anyway, so my friend Ida Camburn was a critic of Scientology because her son had gotten in and disconnected from her, which you have to do. If you're a Scientologist and there's someone connected to you that's a public critic of Scientology, even if it's your mother, you have to disconnect from them. So she was upset about that and publicly protested against Scientology. Um, they had church had put a member, a friend supposedly of Ida in her inner circle, and this friend found out that Ida's husband was deathly afraid of Scientology interfering with his employment. So what did Scientology do? They went in and picketed uh, his place of employment. So there you go. Uh, okay. 1976 also, Ida Crampton, Henrietta Crampton, and Priscilla Coates, I believe, and some other people who were involved with the anti-cult group back then protested in LA. This article is from 9/12/76. And the interesting thing about that is that while they were protesting, Scientology protested along with them, side by side, kind of, which they did with us in Clearwater once too. So people going by, hopefully they're going to read your sign, but at the same time, they're going to read anti-Scientology signs and maybe a pro-Scientology sign or an anti-psychiatry sign, which mushes up what you're trying to do. That was the whole point. So next one is anti-IRS in 1979 in Reno, Nevada. Um, the point of being against the IRS was Scientology lost some of their tax exempt status on some of their corporations, and they have multiple myriad corporations. So they were trying to get that back. So they were applying pressure on the IRS in different ways, which included protesting. Um, that was part of this. And next one, 1979, also the Clearwater Sun in Clearwater, Florida. That's where Scientology snuck into town in 1975. And so the local papers and local people protested against Scientology's crazy things that they were doing, plus their sneakiness. They had guards everywhere. It was crazy stuff going on. And Clearwater Sun was a vanguard of all that. They protested this newspaper by dressing up as Nazis. Believe it or not, they dressed up as Nazis and protested in front of the Clearwater Sun. And here's a picture of that. The next one is Julie Christopherson Tichborne. This was in Oregon, 1985. She had first sued the church in 1979, won like a $2 million judgment. This is for fraud, basically, making claims of what they could do for her, and then obviously not doing those things. Um, that was overturned. She sued again and won a $37 million judgment or something, and then that was overturned in 1985. And that's when this big protest was going on during that trial. Uh, John Travolta went there. Uh, Chick Corea was there and had concerts going on, and they had hundreds and hundreds of Scientologists running around saying how this trial is an attack on religious freedom, blah blah, stuff like that. And the judge threw out the case after final arguments because he claimed something like the lawyer was like suing Scientology. I don't know. I don't know a lot of stuff, but anyway, you can read about it. I'll put up a little blurb here. And again, all this stuff will be on. I'll make a web page that has all this stuff on it and link to that on this page too. Okay, next one is 1986, Larry Wallersheim. Wallersheim also sued the church for mental anguish and fraud and different kinds of things. There's a lot of stuff on his case online. Here's a quick article about that. And they had all kinds of protests about that. That was like one of the biggest little memes they had was not one thin dime for Wallersheim. That was on their signs and different things like that. So they had a huge turnout for that. Lot of weird things went on with that trial, and it went on for years. Also, Larry was just an amazing person to continue with all that and finally win. So that's good on him. The Cannes conference in Los Angeles, 1992. I was at that conference and there was, I can't remember, maybe like 20 Scientologists outside with pretty good sized banners. And here's a photo of that. Now they finally also, just as a history thing, they finally through a crazy process took over the Cult Awareness Network. Um, anyway, next 1997 in February. This would have been while we're planning our second Clearwater annual protest. So the church knew what we were up to, of course, because we do it in public. And that was going to be in March of 97. So in February 97, they started a full court press on a lot of the people who were planning to come to the protest. They picketed my home. My neighbors went out, which I think I was home and I didn't even realize anybody was out there. I don't know what I was doing, but my neighbors were kind of hardcore neighbors and went out and yelled at them and told them it's illegal to picket in a neighborhood, a home, someone's dwelling, which I believe was correct. That's in Arizona at the time. I believe there was an ordinance about that. That's how that worked. Then around the same time, they picketed my employment again. I was a DJ and we had dances every Friday night, at different hotels. We'd moved to different hotels. So they picketed 2 Friday nights and probably a dozen people or so. And here's a few pictures from that. So then they quit. Russell Shaw was one of those protesters. He was one of the first big critics of Scientologists who was really big on fighting alt-religion Scientology online. He had a website about me. I was kind of crazy and stuff like that. Anyway, okay, next March of 97, again, let's see, that was our protest in Clearwater. And the difference in that one was when we get there, we walk down from, I think we gathered at the courthouse first, which is about 2 blocks away. So we walked to the Fort Harrison Hotel, and there's already people there. There's already protesters there. It was kind of bizarre. But what it is about 3 to 1, maybe 4 to 1, more Scientologists than us. There was probably 40 of us or something, and there was enough of them to each of us be surrounded by 3 or 4 of them, and they had signs. So they would go around with their critics, not critics go home, but criminals go home or whatever their sign said. I'll put up some signs here. So they would surround us in hopes that nobody could see our signs and to dilute what we're trying to say again, like deadbeat dads go home or whatever, all those things are that they were had on their signs. But if you watched what they were doing, they would try to hide our signs with their signs. So that went on for like the whole day. That was crazy. Let's see. Next is Christy Walker's home. This is 1999. Let me just put up a video of that first.
I'm here because I've been a human rights activist for a long time, and when I found compelling evidence that Scientology was actually locking people up and holding them against their will, I felt that it was something that I could speak out about. And when I heard that there were people picketing in San Francisco, I felt that was an activity that I could use to educate the public. Sure. Just because I wanted to postpone whatever retaliation was going to happen. It took them about 2.5 months for them to let me know that they knew who I was, and it took them another month and a half, 2 months for them to start picketing my home.
Have you talked to your neighbors about the picketing?
Yes, I have. Mostly I just talked to them when the picketers were there, but right before the Lisa McPherson Memorial picket in December, I distributed flyers to my neighbors up and down my block, to the churches across the corner of the street from me, to let them know why people might be picketing me, why people might be claiming I was a religious bigot, and if they wanted to get into conversations with Scientologists in my neighborhood, a few questions they might want to ask.
Next is Mark Bunker's home was, I believe, pretty much around the same time as Christie's house was picketed, but I'm not positive about that. But that would have been 1999. Mark Bunker is known as Wise Beard Man. You might know him. He's a videographer. He started videoing protests in Los Angeles way back in the 90s and was the videographer for the Lisa McPherson Trust. Here's a little video of his happening.
Would you like a flyer?
Yeah, I would. I just got one, but I've been looking for more. You guys have pretty lousy picture on that.
Oh, if you can get us a
I can give you more if you'd like.
Yeah, please.
And what's your name?
My name's Dan.
Hey, Dan. Thanks for coming by.
Sure.
And what's your name?
D.
D. And are you a Scientologist, or were you hired by Scientology to come by?
I'm a Scientologist.
Oh, really? How long you been in Scientology?
Doesn't matter.
I'm just curious.
I really don't want to do an interview with you.
You don't?
Nope.
Well, sorry to hear that. I mean, you're here at my house. I'm willing to talk about anything that you guys want to talk about.
This is the picture you want to get right here.
Well, yeah, I think
Why don't you
We can see me.
read that and you can see why
beware your neighbor, Mark Bunker, is not all that he seems. And what do you think I am? Your neighbor, Mark Bunker, is a religious bigot. Well, if you would consider Scientology a religion, I suppose you might.
So now we're up to the time of the Lisa McPherson Trust, which opened in 2000, basically. And they had invited Ursula Caberta, who was actually a German official whose job it was to deal with cults. And they invited her to come to give a press conference and a speech or something. I'm not sure exactly why they brought her here. But when they brought her here, this is what happened at the airport when they brought her here.
Nazi criminal, go back to Germany! Nazi criminal, go back to Germany!
You're not welcome! This lady is a criminal!
Go back to Germany!
She's a Nazi! Go back to Germany! We don't like you here! We like freedom of religion! Hi! We like freedom of religion! Go back to Germany! Come on, Mark, let us go.
Church of Scientology in Clearwater.
Mark, let us go.
So that was a protest, essentially, out at the airport. Nazis go home, blah, blah. Next one was in 2000 again. And this is in front of the Lisa McPherson Trust. We had a lot of direct confrontation with the Scientologists when we were in Clearwater. Of course, we're next door. You know, their cafeteria was practically right next door to us. So, you know, and 3 blocks away, 4 blocks away, 3 blocks away was the Fort Harrison Hotel, you know, so we're right there. But this is an example where they picketed the LMT just once in a while. It wasn't very organized very well, but or met many people, you know, but they did it once in a while. Okay, so that's kind of an overview of what happened through history. Now I'm going to just list off a few of the more anti-psychiatry ones, because that was their main thing. The Citizens Commission on Human Rights is a front group, and Scientology has probably a dozen front groups dealing with different things. This is one that's against psychiatry, basically. They had protested a lot. These guys, throughout the years, I'm sure I'm going to miss some of the times that they protested, because they protested a lot of times against psychiatry, against Ritalin, you know, psychiatric drugs and things like that. So I'm just going to list off some places and dates of that, so you can do further research if you want. 1987 was in Ottawa. 1988 in Tampa, Florida, against the Association for Academic Psychiatry. 1995, CCHR was in, oh, where was that? I believe that was in New York, 1995. Didn't write that down, the city. 2004 in New York, New York. 2005 in Concord, Vermont, at a psychiatric event. 2005, the APA, American Psychiatric Association. 2007 in Australia. 2009, San Francisco. 2012, Paris. 2015, France. 2019, London. 2024 in Australia. I'm going to throw up a video here from one of those previous ones. I forget which one this came from, but it's on YouTube.
I'm John Geaver from MedPage Today at the American Psychiatric Association meeting in San Francisco.
Don't drug out kids, don't street out kids, psych leave out kids.
For more years than many APA members can remember, the psychiatric profession has been the focus of a hate campaign by Scientologists. As in past meetings, this year's event was marked by a noisy street protest, as well as counter-protests by groups opposed to Scientology. I spoke with Dr. Neda Stotland, the APA's current president, about the impact on psychiatry and the association.
It's a matter of concern. While we do have data showing that people increasingly believe in the validity of psychiatric disorders and increasingly believe they're treatable, still when a movie star jumps around on a couch and tells people that psychiatry is bad, we worry about the patients we're already treating who are watching. We worry about the people out there who are suffering from psychiatric illnesses and will be scared away from effective treatment because of those kinds of allegations.
And has there been any disruption here so far that's affected the meeting?
Well, we have demonstrators marching up and down in front of our meeting. We're used to that, I'm afraid, all over the world, as a matter of fact, as I've traveled the world this year. And we can only hope that that the public isn't particularly taken in by that. I think to some degree it's been we've noticed that the media are getting less and less interested in listening to the allegations of Scientology, many of which are patently ridiculous.
So that's about it. Just like I say, an overview. I know I missed some things. I know I missed some other countries' happenings and stuff like that. But just so you know, if Scientology ever says, oh, you guys are horrible for protesting a religion, or protesting is so bad, why don't you sit down and talk to us, or whatever they say, you can just say, well, L. Ron Hubbard himself said that demonstrations are fine, and this is a history of Scientology protesting other organizations. So what do you think, huh? Anyway, so that's about it for this time. I'll probably do another one on something else. Talk to you later. Bye.